In the 2025-2026 financial year, amidst high global inflation and intense geopolitical friction, India's total exports hit an all-time high of $863.11 billion. This record volume proves the country's trade sector can absorb external shocks and hold its ground in the global market. But to understand how that $863 billion is actually generated, we have to look past the top-line number. The total is supported by two nearly equal pillars: $441.78 billion from physical merchandise and $421.32 billion from the services sector. While they combine to make a single record-breaking headline, these two sides of the economy are operating under entirely different conditions. Right now, the physical manufacturing base is securing its market share through lower costs, rather than superior quality. This strategy relies heavily on basic assembly and an inexpensive workforce. Because of this, manufacturers are trapped with razor-thin profit margins and struggle to build lasting brand equity with international buyers. To sustain its economic growth trajectory, India has to shed its reputation as a supplier of cheap goods and learn how to create premium, high-value products. The urgency of this problem becomes clear when you compare it to the services sector, which grew by nearly 9% to hit its $421 billion peak. This growth is pulled by a massive international appetite for Indian IT infrastructure, business process outsourcing, and digital solutions. Unlike physical factories, tech and consulting firms do not have to navigate raw material shortages or heavy shipping costs. They scale quickly because they export digital infrastructure and expertise. Delivering highly specialized professional knowledge, Indian service providers easily command premium prices from global clients. Then there are the physical goods. Merchandise exports did reach $441.78 billion, but that represents a growth rate of less than 1%. These heavy industries are feeling the squeeze. Rising global inflation, spiking energy prices, and higher transport fees are eating directly into their already narrow profits. Government localization initiatives successfully increased sheer volume, but much of this output remains stuck at basic component assembly rather than integrated original manufacturing. This reliance on basic assembly is becoming a liability as global demand shifts. Major importers are increasingly moving away from pure affordability, looking instead for specific benchmarks in design, reliability, and sustainability that low-cost assembly lines cannot yet guarantee. The barrier keeping these manufacturers from moving up the value chain is a severe lack of investment in research and development. India spends just 0.64% of GDP on R&D, compared to the global average of 3%. Zooming in, only 36.4% of India's fraction comes from private businesses, while top firms invest less than 1% of sales into innovation. Without well-funded research labs, these factories lack the capacity to design and build the complex hardware required by the upper end of the market. This starves Indian brands of the pricing power that legacy competitors in places like Germany and Japan have spent decades securing through precision engineering. Economic policymakers are forcing a pivot. The government's new stance is that future export viability relies strictly on quality production. To push this along, they've launched the Export Promotion Mission, allocating over 25,000 crore rupees to help small and medium enterprises acquire global quality certifications and improve their branding. But for the millions of small factories that make up the backbone of India's exports, meeting these strict international standards requires major upfront cash investments in new equipment and training. This puts them in a precarious position. If they spend the money to upgrade, they risk losing their current status as the lowest cost option long before they actually establish any recognition as a premium brand. Financial subsidies alone cannot instantly replicate the deeply ingrained cultures of quality control that global manufacturing giants have refined over decades. As these new standards roll out, we are likely to see a split industrial base. A few early adopters will modernize into high-tech, precision facilities, while the rest remain dependent on manual, low-wage assembly. Pushing past the quality wall requires the private sector to treat innovation as a core operational strategy, rather than just ticking a compliance box for a government grant. If India's manufacturing base can navigate the heavy costs of this upgrade and prove its value to global buyers, its trade sector will move from being a source of cheap components to a preferred partner for high-value global production.